Okay. Let me take 5 minutes to explain what we were doing yesterday, just to bring everybody at par. We looked at the idea of operating leverage and financial leverage. We tried to understand the importance of operating leverage and financial leverage. See, in a way, like I was saying yesterday, in both the cases, we talk of deploying technology. In case of operating leverage, we talk of business technology or technology of the business, or in case of financial leverage, we talk of some kind of financial engineering or financial technology that we are deploying. And in the process, what you are doing in both the cases, whether it is operating leverage or it is financial leverage, in both the cases, what we are doing is that we are using some asset which is in the form of, let's say, factory building, machinery, plant, or some such thing, right? Which is like a fixed charge on business. And since it is a fixed charge on business, and I'm saying with reference to operating leverage as well as with reference to financial leverage. So this fixed charge has an offside as well as a better side of it. Okay, it has a disadvantage as well as advantage. Right, Gautam, are you with me when I'm using these terms?
Yes, sir, I'm able to understand.
Okay, but can I ask the same question to others? Ayush, are you with me? You were there yesterday, right?
Yes, sir.
Are you following whatever I'm saying? Okay, Ayush has some connection problem. Okay, so now I'm asking the same thing about three of you. Are you following whatever terms I've used, or I need to elaborate more?
Sir, if you could elaborate a bit more.
Right, these are the slides we used, where I initially described a scenario where there is no fixed cost and a scenario when there is a fixed cost, right? When all the costs are variable cost, and then there is a scenario when there is a fixed cost also. So I've done this comparison between two types of cost structures. And then I moved on to a scenario where I am looking at whether this new cost structure is a better off situation. And break even point is something that you understand, and this is with reference to a cost structure where there is a fixed cost. But a cost structure where there is no fixed cost, well, there is no need for a break even point. You only need to ensure that your revenue is more than the cost, because all your costs are variable. And for simplification, for simplicity, we are taking our variable cost as perfectly variable, proportionately variable. Because if it is not proportionately variable, then the equation becomes non-linear. The relationship becomes non-linear. So we are taking a linear relationship, just as a just to make it simple. So in that scenario, there is no need for a break-even point. Like if you look at the total cost line, no, not total cost line. If you look at the line which I have represented as, total revenue line, which I am calling it R, or you may call it as TR, total revenue line. And you have a total cost line, which is this variable cost line I am saying, because all your costs are variable. So we are saying this is revenue. Yeah, okay, there is only one revenue line. There are two different cost structures we are taking here, but revenue line is one, right? These two cost structures are, one is a case where there is a revenue and there is all costs which are variable. You will see, in that situation, total revenue and this variable cost, or you can say total cost in that case, there is no need for a break-even point. All points are above, zero profit. So you have some profit. As you increase the volume of production, you find that you have, uh, you have profits, right? Taking this example from an Excel sheet, right? Let's say my production is zero and my fixed cost is also zero, and my interest is interest I have to say by taking my equity as 10,000. So my interest is also zero. Fine. So this is the kind of relationship that I'm talking. And I've taken, sales price and variable cost here. And accordingly, you find, well, this is how this relationship is being reflected. As we increase the production, I increase it to 1 unit, I get some profit. Okay. Whatever the selling price or variable cost, the only condition is that selling price is more than per unit variable cost. Even if it is 14 rupees, you still have a profit. Even if it is 12 rupees, you still have a profit. Even if it is 11 rupees, you still have a profit. The moment it becomes 10 rupees, the moment it becomes 10 rupees, then you have no profit because selling price is equal to variable cost. And the moment it goes down 9.9, you have a loss. Okay? You have a loss. Loss is very marginal, right? That's why it is coming in the exponential form. So that's one important part of this relationship. So as I increase my production and I'm equating my production to sales, I'm assuming a scenario where there is no inventory. So you make it 100 times, your profit also becomes like that. You make it 1,000, you make it 1,000 times, your profit increases. So this is like 10 times of 100. So the profit increases to that. And that's that. Fixed cost as 1,500. If I take my fixed cost as 1,500, then at 1 unit of production, I am incurring a loss. At even 100 rupees of production, I am incurring a loss. At 200 rupees of production, I am incurring a loss. Oh, sorry. I should have written it here. At 200 units of production, I am incurring a units of production, my profit is zero. EBIT is zero. So I have reached to a point here. And above this 400, let's say I take it, so I get some profit. So this is, I am talking of the operating leverage part. So in the context of the example that we are discussing theory along with, that if there is no fixed cost, all points are above break-even points, all points of production. The only condition that we are imposing is that that selling price per unit is more than the variable cost. Variable cost is the cost. But the moment you introduce fixed cost, you have the idea of a break-even point. So that's how you are getting this break-even point at Q1 quantity. And in this example that we have taken, 375 units will give us a break-even point, a point of no profit, no loss. But we are not interested only in a break-even point. What we are interested in is that if we change our technology, is it a better thing to do? From screen-based printing, which is a very small scale kind of printing business, to an offset printing. You have to start putting up more money in the technology, more money in the machine that you're buying from whatever Italy or Germany or Japan, right? If you're or let's say you go from a single color offset to a multicolor offset, or if you get into automobile production, so you get into a highly capital intensive, capital intensive business, in the sense that the automobile production, as we know across the world today, is highly automized, right? So this automation that you are trying to achieve is an alternative to a previous scenario where you're not taking technology at that level. So you are comparing your two scenarios even there. Like this particular example is comparing two scenarios between a pure variable cost and a case of fixed cost. But if we take a new scenario, let us take like this. Right? You have a scenario of a level of fixed cost, right? So I call it as fixed cost 1. Now you take a scenario where you spend actually more than that. So you go for higher level of mechanization. So when you go for higher level of mechanization, so my fixed cost is higher because I'm using more sophisticated machines. So initially, let's say my variable cost was like this. And let's say I take as if my output is of the same quality. So my total revenue line is not changing. Why total revenue line is not changing? Because total revenue line depends on the selling in the market. And since you are operating in the same market, your product is same, your total revenue line will remain same, will not change. So in this scenario, which scenario? Where we have FC1 as fixed cost, and we have this is I've taken as my addition of variable cost. So I say this is my total cost. So I have this particular point as my break-even point. So now I have a new scenario, and this new scenario is giving me a variable cost, which is like this. Okay. So likewise, I call it as total cost 2. This was my total cost 1. Okay. And I have a break-even point, the new break-even point. So this was my break-even point 1. And this is my break-even point 2. So far, everybody, are you with me? Whatever I am saying, this side we are measuring quantity. And this side we are measuring revenue, cost, and profit. So look at the scenario. Can anybody comment on what I've drawn so far? Can somebody say something on this? What is the learning here? Because here this point is also there, which is very important. This third point, which is the intersection between two total cost lines. This is a very important point. Yes. Are you following this section point? What is this cross section point? These are two break-even points. And I am still discussing operating leverage. what is the idea of a break-even point, what is the implication of a break-even point, and what is this third point, which is a cross section between two total cost lines. These are the two total cost lines of two different cost structures. The fixed cost is different, even variable cost is different, but somehow we have taken the selling price as same. Why? Because we are still operating in the same market. It's only the technology which is different. You find a spectrum of technology. Let's say you're talking of economy class of airlines. So you have 5 different airlines which are having an economy class of seat for travel between 2 points, origin and destination. So you will generally find they have competitive price. So since they have a competitive price, so total revenue line will be common. But from airline to airline, maybe cost structure is different depending upon what is the level of mechanization or automation or the technology that you have used for operating the airline. So you're not able to change your revenue line, but you're finding, well, your total cost line is different. For example, which is the largest airline today in India? Domestic. I think it is Indigo. Anybody? Rishika? Are you able to understand what I'm saying? These are two break-even points, and we are looking at this third point. So what is this third point? Gautam, can you say about this? What is this third point?
Sir, it's actually the indifference point of the cost structure.
The indifference point of the cost structures. And what is the meaning of indifference here? Like if we draw a line here, so this I call it as quantity 3. This I call it as quantity 2. And this I call it as quantity 1. And if I draw a line towards this side also, and so we are measuring here whatever we like, these are 3 different things here, but we know that here profit is not profit is profit is there, and profit is a, let's say I take it some value equal to what should I say, let's say I call it A. Okay, and how much is the profit at this point? The profit is this much. Okay, so this difference, right, if you can see this is my revenue, this is my cost. Okay, I should have written profit not here, but let's say if I call this as my, this I call it as R3, this I call it as my cost 3, and this difference between R3 and C3 is my profit, which I call it as pi 3, right? Pi I am representing for profit. So this distance is there, which is reflecting the profit. So profit is same between the two cost structures, between the two operators. They are getting the same profit at this level of demand in the market. One operator is trying to change its cost structure from less mechanization to more mechanization, from less automation to more automation, from less technology to more technology. So that's how it could be even understood in the context of the same operator also. See, all through whatever we have been studying in investment is about that. We are considering new investment, and we are considering new investment over the existing investment. So we are looking at the cash flows, and we are saying whether it is advantageous. So that's how we are looking. So there is a always a comparison between the previous investment and the additional investment. Sometimes this additional investment is in a new project. sometimes this additional investment is to overcome the obsolescence of technology which is happening in the same project. So you invest, more. So you curtail the previous investment because the previous investment still had some life, but that life is not there. You want to change the nature of life for future. So you change the technology, and so you make a comparison. You calculate the returns on new investment. So you talk of NPV in a new situation. So that's how you could look at it. So this indifference point between the two cost structures is there, and it is arising because fixed costs are different, variable costs are also different, and the two different cost structures vis-a-vis revenue line would also have two different break-even points. So look at the disadvantage of a fixed cost. See, first we look at the disadvantage of the cost structure where fixed cost is FC1. So what is the disadvantage? Until unless you have this much of demand in the market, how much demand? From 0 to Q1, you will not earn profit. That means if your market is lower than Q1 quantity, then it's not a good idea to run that business. So it's a disadvantage. But the advantage is that if somehow you have demand in the market which is more than Q1, then you will have, a much more profit. Like in this case, we are saying that if you now shift to new cost structure where fixed cost is FC2, so your break-even point actually shifts to Q2 from 0 Q1. Now you need actually 0 Q2 level of quantity so that you reach to break-even point. And then if somehow your market is so much that you are able to sell more than Q3, then your second type of cost structure is actually advantageous, because second type of cost structure after this will give you more profit. Like if you draw a line here, slightly further away from Q3, so you find that the new cost structure is giving you higher profit, right? If you see the distance between the blue line of cost and the revenue line, that gap is more, so you are earning more profit. So that's how you're looking at your investment return. So that's what operating leverage is all about, right? Any questions so far?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Gautam.
Sir, the organization is able to sell till the Q3 level of production only. So, what should be the preferred cost structure for the organization?
There is actually none, because that's the indifference point. The preferred cost structure is not there because you cannot exercise a preference. If you draw the same utility by eating 2 apples or 1 orange, now you may say whose utility is more. You'll say utility is same in both the cases, no? In a similar sense, since the profit is same, you are actually indifferent. If you are expecting your quantity to be sold in the market only up to Q3, you would not like to shift to new technology.
Because, sir, in the first case, the break-even point can be achieved
Much earlier.
as early.
Much earlier, yes, earlier. So in that sense, if you are expecting that your quantity is somewhere here, let's say I call it Q star, okay, or let's say here, which also I call it as Q star, or I may call it Q double star. Okay. So if you are expecting demand in the market to be Q double star, second type of cost structure is definitely not preferable, because you will be incurring losses if you adopt the new technology. But
Yes,
if you are expecting demand in the market to be of the level Q star, which is between Q2 and Q3, any point, it's not that specific point, that's why I put it as Q star. It can be any point between Q2 and Q3. So you will definitely be able to choose the second cost structure. But now you are comparing, should you choose, because you are comparing with the previous cost structure. So when you compare with the previous cost structure, you say, well, compared to previous cost structure, although you are earning profit even in this case, but your profit is less. Your profit is not more. Since your profit is not more, you will still not shift to new technology. But if you are able to, get the market which is beyond Q3, say if you look at, for example, I was giving the example of this Indigo or airlines. Today, Indigo is giving competition to every airline company in India, although there are very few operators, but earlier there were more operators, and Indigo had become, the largest operator in terms of market share. So what they are able to do is they are able to, get, they are competing in the economy class as if they are the lowest cost player. So being the lowest cost player, they are able to increase the sophistication, and they are also able to get sufficient demand, and you are able to do, a shift over to new technology. That new technology in a service industry, you have to see in, many forms, as an experience that you get when you travel by that. Okay. So there are, when you look at service as a product, so there are many components of a service, and those components are, a lot of it human driven as well as technology driven, and you could bring, more technology in your experience when you're traveling. So the point that I am making here is that this shift over point is very important. Indifference point is very important, even in operating leverage. Generally, we just focus on financial leverage, but the topic is about both the components, right? So now, Gautam, am I answering your question?
Yes, sir. And sir, I just wanted to ask one more question.
Yeah, sure.
So with the increase of mechanization, why there is a decrease in the variable cost per unit? I was not able to understand this in the
But if it is
yesterday's class
not,
also.
previous class also we were saying this point. So if that doesn't happen, what will be the diagram? The diagram will be, if variable cost doesn't decline, let's say
Yes, sir.
we have this diagram where we have this as the fixed cost 1, and this is fixed cost 2, and let's say this is my revenue line, and this is my, let's say, variable cost line. Now I have to add this variable cost to both these fixed costs. So that means I'm drawing a parallel here, and I'm drawing a parallel line here. That's what is happening. If our variable cost doesn't decline, that means these three lines should be parallel.
Yes,
The
sir.
first line is only variable cost. Second line is the total cost of first scenario, and third line is the total cost of the second scenario, and this is a revenue line. So with the previous cost structure, your break-even point was this one, and now your break-even point is this one, and you go all over, and there is no shift over point. If you extend these two total cost lines beyond this sheet, right, you go on extending, so you will find that there is no shift over point.
Yes, sir.
Since there is no shift over point, so there is no advantage. If these two cost lines, total cost lines 1 and total cost 2 line are parallel to each other, then the new cost structure is not advantageous.
Yes, sir.
And this I am saying descriptively in terms of the business logic, that if you are bringing in more technology in the business, you should have at least one possibility, which is change in variable cost. Because if you are operating in the same market, it is the market which determines the price. The individual operator cannot determine the price, as you learn from economics. right? In a competitive market, you go to buy a product, there are 5 different sellers in a consumer durable, whether it is a television or a refrigerator or AC, air conditioning device. You find generally, prices are similar for a similar product. So you can't change the revenue line. And you are, bringing in more sophistication in your production, and your variable cost is not going down. So you are worse off. Maybe you don't have a choice. Maybe you don't have a choice. I'll come to that example also. What is that example? See, Maruti started operating in India in 1984. Maruti was the first company in the country which produced a small car. Of course, now they have stopped producing Maruti 800. But till they were producing Maruti 800, now they have started calling it, Alto. Alto is nothing but a new incarnation of Maruti 800 only. But the new player which came in the market, so which is the new player? Hyundai came into market. Now Hyundai could not bring, that level of cost because it started later and therefore its fixed cost was higher. So Hyundai was always in a disadvantageous position vis-a-vis small car. It is only later when the market changed, the market of automobile sector changed, so you have a lot more varieties and you have different prices and different revenue structures, because as you have the different quality products in the market, you find you are able to charge different prices, and therefore now it's a very complex scenario to analyze. But the point that I'm making here is that if revenue line is not affected and your cost is higher, and revenue, your cost, fixed cost is higher, and variable cost you cannot reduce per unit, so you are always in a worse situation compared to the previous cost structure. So this previous cost structure is maybe with reference to the same operator, or it may be with reference to a new operator in the market. But you cannot be better than the first one. The first one is achieving break-even point much earlier at Q1. The second one is achieving the break-even point at Q2, and there is no Q3. Right, there is no Q3. Always at any level of sale in the market, let's say both of the operators, or let's say in both the situations, you are able to sell this much. Let's say you call it as Q star. So with this Q star, in the second cost structure, profit is only, how should I draw? Let's say I use a blue pen here. Profit is only this much. But with the old cost structure, the profit is this much. Everybody, because market has become very large gradually, small car market became from 1984 onwards till 2021. Of course, now 2021 is a very different, but say you look at it 10 years, 15 years, market has been growing, so everybody had a share of the cake to eat. So the share of the cake that you had to enjoy, but the profit margins were different. The one which had lower cost structures had a higher profit, and the one which had a higher cost structure had lower profit. And that's why Maruti continues to be leader in the market because of this factor, because they started earlier and they have a learning advantage and they have a cost advantage. So one can go on, like this. When you start going into the business logic, so many things become, maybe a little more than what I should be telling you in this first paper on finance.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Right. Uh, so going further, uh, we were talking about uh, this example. So indifference point in the operation of business in terms of the cost structure, and then we move on to the financial structure. So we say like this was your fixed cost, right? If you look at this example, let me draw this with the help of this example itself. Uh, okay, but that we need a different diagram, because in this diagram x-axis and y-axis are different values. So we need to have a different diagram to show that. What is that? I need to redraw this. So we are saying EBIT EPS relationship. So we say EBIT on x-axis, and EPS on y-axis. So the moment you have fixed cost in your cost structure, your relationship becomes like this. So what does it show? From 0 to A. This is my fixed cost in the operation of business. So this much part is with reference to operating leverage. And now we come to the financial component. So here we have a situation where EBIT is 0, right? Earning before interest and tax is 0. So we are earning that much to our operation of business. And now we say, if it is all pure equity, which is this one, so you have a kind of relationship between EPS and EBIT. But if it is not pure equity, there is some debt, like this scenario, where there is a pure equity case. So you have 10,000 capital and 10,000 equity. So I say, well, equity is not 10,000, but only 80%. The moment you have only 80% equity and 20% debt, and I've taken an example of 8% debt. So this 8% debt is giving you an interest of 160 rupees. So that's like a fixed charge. If my debt becomes higher, my interest is now 400. If my debt becomes further higher, debt becomes higher, right? Now my 90% is debt of the capital. So my interest